Welcome to Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit, where we present personal protection and safety tips. This is our regular ongoing feature when we provide free information in the form of one safety tip per episode that is designed to enable listeners to take on a more active role in their personal protection. We have been producing these tips on an ongoing basis for several weeks now. We're at least up to 33 tips, and we have a long list of tips to come, and we can't wait to publish them and get them out to you for your safety. But before we go ahead and get to today's personal protection, personal safety tip, I just want to shamelessly plug our YouTube channel. We have over 2,000 YouTube videos that we have independently produced on all facets of personal protection, home safety, and ways to empower our listeners. On this YouTube channel, we also would like to publish how you can find it. We're at youtube.com/Detroit CCW. If you like this video, by all means give it an official like. Also, forward it over to your family and friends. Also, please kindly leave some feedback. And if you like this video and other videos, don't miss future episodes by subscribing to our channel. Now, with no further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get started with today's personal protection tip, and it concerns itself with that first date. Make it safe. And here we go. Never have a first date with someone at a private residence, regardless of whose residence is the proposed location. A neutral meeting place, such as a cafe, a coffee shop, or restaurant, should be chosen instead. Until you feel comfortable with this new person in your life, you should continue seeing each other outside of a residential environment. Do not make the mistake of thinking that you truly know someone just because of a perceived connection established solely over the telephone, an online dating site, or in the online social media sites like Facebook, that whole environment and routine. There are some other personal protection tips. I was just initially just going to lay out that one overall tip, and then when I thought about it, this topic is so very important that I said, well, look, let me do a very serious, thorough job on this topic. So each of these individual things I'm adding could probably be their own separate video, but instead of going for overkill on the number of videos, I thought I would take these individual tips and just drop them in this one video. So another thing to keep in mind is that maybe, I shouldn't say maybe, is that you should definitely strongly consider having that first date in person during the daytime. There's nothing wrong with meeting someone new during the middle of the day. How about a lunch date, maybe a Saturday, Sunday afternoon? Sky is clear, the sun is shining, and you're out and about, and you don't have to contend with another environment being the darkness associated with the evening. Also, strongly consider doing it in a public place, some place that has a lot of other people. Presumably, if you're in a public place that's well populated, there'll probably be security cameras and security personnel present. definitely would add another layer of protection. And of course, you're meeting someone on that first date, I would strongly suggest that you meet that person there. There might be, he might say, well, hey, let me just go ahead and pick you up. Well, that's all fine and dandy for a later date, maybe a second date or a third date or a fourth date. But for that very first date, yeah, meet that person out in public, somewhere in the environment, and not introduce someone to where you actually live. There are some strange people out there, and you want to make sure that you're dealing with someone who's, you know, normal, someone who isn't dangerous, someone who you feel comfortable with knowing where you live. As a matter of fact, this guy might turn out to be a stalker. Now, I'm not saying every guy you're going to meet is a stalker, but I tell you, if you meet a stalker type guy, you know, you wouldn't want to deal with that issue. Definitely. Another consideration is that you might want to have spies. And what do I mean by spies? Let's say if you arrange for a public date out somewhere for lunch or for, a very early dinner. Arrange for friends to already be there. Now, those friends can actually be there and just suddenly see you there and come over and say hi and check on you. Or better yet, instead of just a solo date, why not make it a group date? Why not say to the person that wants to see you out, why not suggest to that person that he meet you and your friends while you all are out and about, getting a bite to eat or at a museum. Make it a group date. It doesn't have to be one on one. Besides, you could have the additional feedback of what your friends think of this person rather than being starry eyed and just reliving those positive vibes from your interaction on the first date. Another safety tip would be to let people know where you're going. Also, let them know when you are expected back. Generally speaking, when going out on a date or a first date, you should have an idea as to what the itinerary is going to be, and you should be able to roughly approximate how long that first date is going to take. And of course, there is a chance that, the date might get off on a bad foot, or you realize fairly early on that it's not going to work. You might arrange for one of your friends to, what I call, create a call out. This is where at a designated time you have one of your trusted friends that you can trust to make a call to you at a certain time if you have not contacted them first. The sole purpose of this is if you feel that things aren't going well and this guy isn't, let's just say he's kind of weird and too weird to you to continue on with the date. It gives you a graceful way to exit, a personal emergency or something that you must attend to, apologize and say, hey, you'll get back with him, but you definitely have to go. Another thing you can do is to, as a personal protection firearms instructor, I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't, strongly suggest that you bring a gun. Of course, you have a concealed pistol license, so you're definitely able to legally carry a gun. Just make sure that wherever that first date is, it's not in a gun-free zone and you don't risk running afoul of the law, just to make sure that you're absolutely safe on that first date. You also want to make sure that you have a cell phone and that cell phone is fully charged. So just in case you need to use it, you know what? You don't have to worry about not having any juice. Also, once you know your itinerary, you should have a general idea as to what community you're going to be in physically. So it probably would be a good idea, just in case, if you knew where the nearest police station was located. That way, if for some reason, heaven forbid, you needed to get out of that situation fairly quickly, you know where you have to go to get to the police and to be safe. Another safety consideration is to bring cash. Now, I'm older. When I say older, I'm north of 50. I'm not going to tell you exactly how old I am, but let's say this date doesn't go well and you need to bow out and maybe things don't end well. Make sure that you have some cash on you or a credit card to be able to cover the cost of your meal. Who knows what could happen and go south. And the very last personal protection tip I want to leave you with is that until you get to know this person, his character is suspect, and you should not leave any drinks unattended. If you just so happen to be out with a bad character and didn't know it and you left your drink unattended, he could probably slip something in it that could compromise your ability to make independent decisions. This has been another edition of Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit's Personal Protection Tips.